to Navajo County Connection. I'm Dawnafe Whitesinger, District 5 Supervisor, and today we are talking a little bit about the Navajo County Fair and welcoming fall season, which is awesome, and kind of saying goodbye to the summer season. And today we have Mike Sample joining us, and he is responsible for kind of overseeing the fair and making sure that it runs well. And so I'll give him a chance to, one, introduce himself, and we'll go and get ahead and get started. So why don't you introduce yourself, how long you've been in the community, how long you've been working for the county, what it is you do.
Sure. Yes, my name is Mike Sample. I'm from Holbrook originally. My family was the first settlers in that area back in the 1860s, so I've lived in Holbrook all my life. Right now I volunteer as the president of Navajo County Fair. I also work for the Navajo County Clerk of the Court's office. I'm a supervisor there. I've been there for 9 years. I'm also the chairman of the Holbrook Planning and Zoning Commission and a member of the local Masonic Lodge. So I like to stay involved in different things, and I believe community service is a very important part, so that's why I volunteer for the different positions that I do.
I see that a lot from you, that you do contribute a lot to the community, and I know that the county fair is quite an endeavor. From planning it, from getting all of the people who participate and help, you know, the function and the organization of it, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
It is. We're fortunate. I am the president. However, we do have a volunteer board. We have 21 members on our fair board, and each member is assigned a duty. And so, for instance, Rusty Despain, he's our rodeo chairman. He has his committee that runs the rodeo. Reggie Justman is in charge of our open class building. And so we have different fair board members that are assigned to different areas. So without them, there's no way we'd be able to put on this fair. We start planning. So we just finished our fair. And so we have our next fair board meeting on October 2nd, and so we'll start critiquing this fair and start planning for the next fair. So it doesn't, we don't wait till like a month or so or a couple of months before the fair to start planning. It's a year-long event that it takes to put on our fair.
So you have like a month break, and then you get started for the next fair. Right.
Yeah, we were there, a couple of us were there even Monday after the fair. We take a few days off of work, and we're still at the fair cleaning up and everything. And we start talking to people of what they saw was good and where we could improve in different areas. So so even though the fair is over with, we're still talking about it and still planning for next year.
Yeah, and one of the great things about the fair is it's run by volunteers, the entire fair, which is pretty amazing.
It is. It's amazing. We have one employee. Her name is Michelle Stock. She's the event director and secretary at the fair. And then we have a part-time facilities manager, Jose, who's retired from the county, and he works for the fairgrounds part-time now. But we do rely on volunteers. Like I said, the fair board is all volunteers, and then we recruit different people to help volunteer at the fair and throughout different events that we have. If it wasn't for like the county employees who volunteer in the cantina, the sheriff's department, they help provide the security for us, and different volunteers in many areas. We wouldn't be able to do it without volunteers.
Yeah. So we love our volunteers, and I'm so grateful for them to take the time out of their life and contribute to the community. So hats off to all the volunteers out there.
Also, I'm sorry. Also, our families. If it wasn't for our families, we're the ones on the fair board, but they end up having to do a lot of the work as well. So I just want to shout out to all the fair board members' families, from the kids to their spouses and stuff, because they do a lot of work at the fair as well as the other events throughout the year.
I did see that. I saw a lot of families who were engaged in helping wherever help was needed, and I think that's great. It kind of speaks to our community and just how much, you know, families are involved in local organizations and events, and that's such a great thing. Yes. So when we talk about the fair, what were some of the highlights of the fair this year?
Well, we started on Wednesday, September 11th. So because it was September 11th, we thought it would be great to pay tribute to the first responders throughout Navajo County. So we invited a lot of the first responders to participate. And we also have the kids from the Holbrook Public schools come in and they sing some patriotic songs. We had the Bird Springs chapter Veterans Club from Bird Springs on the Navajo reservations. They were the honor guard. They did a 21-gun salute there, and then we had some of the first responders on the stage, and we actually paid tribute to them, sang them some special songs and stuff. And I think that was a highlight that we had this year for our opening ceremonies.
Yeah.
It was really nice. A lot of the elected officials were there to participate in asking. We asked the kids questions, just random fair questions, and we give them some free passes to the carnival and to the events. And so we get our elected officials involved in that as well. And that's kind of really neat to see.
I think one of the things that I enjoy is almost every event is marked with some type of patriotism, and the opening ceremony always has us in reminding us about, tradition, being able to honor those who serve our community, and the young people who sing at that event. They do a wonderful job. I love that part of the opening, or the fair itself. And so I know that I was able to attend a special event kind of honoring a couple people in our community. What was that about?
Well, at a rodeo, it's become a tradition that we honor some of the fair's biggest supporters. So each night at the rodeo, we pick the rodeo committee picks a couple of people that we think should be honored at our rodeo. On Friday night, I think that was the night you attended, we picked Supervisor Jesse Thompson. He's been one of the longest supervisors in the state of Arizona, and he's been a big supporter of the Navajo County Fair. So we thought it would be a great thing to pay honor and tribute to Mr. Thompson, Supervisor Thompson. So he was one of the ones that we paid tribute to. Also another gentleman by the name of Tim Kelly. He's a local Holbrook resident. Tim has been on the fair board with us before. He's a member of the Hashnaife Sheriff's Posse, and every year he's there volunteering one way or another. He's always helps with the rodeo. He's employed by the city of Holbrook, so if there's anything that we need from the city, Tim's always there to provide what we need. But he's always involved in the fairs in one type or another, so we thought it'd be great to pay special tribute to Tim as well as Mr. Thompson. And then on Saturday night, we chose Mr. Steve Flake from Snowflake area. Him and his family have been involved also in the fair for many years. They're involved in the junior livestock and 4-H with the kids there, and his family. His daughter-in-law was actually on the drill team the night of the rodeo, so we paid special tribute to Mr. Flake as well on Saturday night. And I think, to me, it's a great honor to have them in there and thank them for what they've done for the Navajo County Fair.
I agree. I think, it's important to recognize people's efforts, and then also just, I know Jesse was very touched by the recognition, and often, he feels undeserving, and I think this is kind of just a mark of just his leadership and what he's been able to contribute. And I know that's the same for all of those who were able to receive the award. It's so important just to be able to recognize their efforts and knowing how important it is to the county fair in allowing it to be successful. So I think that's a great thing. Yeah. So when we think about the fair, what were some of the big events of the fair?
Well, besides opening ceremonies on Wednesday, we have the Demolition Derby on Thursday night. That's a huge crowd gainer there. Yeah. Demolition Derby has become more popular over the years. We had, I think, 9 cars participate this year and 7 trucks. So we had 2 heats, 1 car heat and a truck heat. We also have a costume contest. I didn't get to see the costume contest this year, but I heard there was some really neat costumes out there. They get a little outrageous and crazy, but it's all in good fun and stuff. So they get a little prized, on the best costume it's judged and stuff. And then we go into the Demolition Derby, and there's a couple of heats that they have with the cars. And then during the Demolition Derby, we have what we call the calf scramble. So they tie some money onto the tails of the calves, and we allow some of there's I think 20 women in the audience just at random come down, and we say 1, 2, 3, go, and they run around the arena trying to get the money off the calf and see who can win the most. So that's always a fun event as well.
That is fun. Yeah. I did see one event that was kind of in fun like that, where it was a kind of like musical chairs. and that was fun to watch.
The Keg Race.
Yes.
Yes, that's the first year we've done it at the Holbrook Rodeo. It's been a big event at the Snowflake 4th of July Rodeo. And so this year, our sponsor, Mr. Jason Hendricks from Cowboys and Kisses, sponsored that event. So what it is basically like musical chairs, but it's on a horse. So you start at one point on some kegs or grocery crates, and so you run around a barrel, and the last one that gets there loses. So that's kind of fun, and it can get pretty wild. Some of those guys start ripping off halter bridles off the horses and stuff like that, but that's always a really neat event. I think we're going to continue something like that every year. Mr. Hendricks wants to continue and sponsor those events, so we're going to think of some good fun events for that.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
So what about the young people and the opportunities for them to present their livestock?
So we have the junior livestock area at the fair. It's the 4-H kids and FFA, Future Farmers of America kids, get involved in that, and they show animals anywhere from rabbits, chickens, to the goats, their lambs, the swine, and the steers. So they work all year raising those animals, and they go to different shows and learning how to show them and present their animals. And then the fair is kind of like the highlight of their work for the year. And they're judged on showmanship. They're judged on presenting their animals. The animals are judged as well as their build, their muscles, their everything about the animal, how they're groomed, how the kids groom their animals. And so they're judged in several different aspects of that event. And then they can win some really neat buckles and stuff, and to watch the faces on those kids when they win grand champion or even reserve champion, it's really neat. It's a lot of work for them, and then we have an auction at the end that they can sell their animals and stuff. So
that's pretty awesome. And I know just by listening to students and their participation over the years, and how much they learn in responsibility and public speaking and ownership and just a pride in being able to do something from beginning to end is pretty awesome. So I love the 4-H program.
Right, and I believe, in my opinion, I've said this before, I believe that's what the fair is about. It's about the kids. And my girls grew up in 4-H at the Navajo County Fairgrounds, and it helped develop of who they become as an adults. And my older daughter is currently a 4-H extension agent in Greenlee County, and so 4-H has been a part of her life growing up, and now that's her profession now as a 4-H agent. So to me, it's all about the kids, not only showing the steers and the lambs, but also the horse show. On Wednesday or Saturday before the fair, they actually start showing in the showmanship and Western events, Western riding, and then on Wednesday they have the ranch horse competition. They do the roping events, and Wednesday evening they have speed events such as barrel racing, pole bending, and goat tying and stuff. So those kids get to participate in the fair as well. If they don't show a pig or a steer, they get to participate on their horse, and that's a neat event as well.
It is. It's great to see the young people so invested. And I know I love going over and seeing the animals that they're showing. They're beautiful. They do a great job.
As you walk by, you'll see them at the area where the wash racks are, and they're just constantly bathing their animals and trimming their animals and grooming them, getting ready for them shows. So that's just, they come in actually Tuesday before the fair, and they start their work, and they go all the way through the auction on Saturday. So they're there early in the morning cleaning their stalls, feeding their animals, and all the way through the night. So it's a lot of work for those kids. So.
It is a lot of work. It's very impressive. I'm happy that program is available to them. I don't know what my livestock would look like, but that could be fun. Maybe an event for next year.
Right? Yeah,
right?
Right. Exactly.
Supervisors enter their own livestock. We'll see.
We did mention we should get the supervisors to do an event in the arena, maybe a gunny sack race or something like that.
There
would be
you go. Right? That would be fun.
During the demo derby.
So what about showmanship for arts and craft? What is that like?
So arts and crafts, any county resident, if they can enter anything in the open class building. There's certain classes they can do, from photography if they have a quilt or even drawing, fruits and vegetables. That was actually our open class was down a little bit this year, and a lot of people said because their gardens didn't do as well this year. So the fruits and vegetables section was a little down, but the photography had a good showing. We had a lot of really neat quilts, and we even have where they can decorate boots. So we have a boot section, a scarecrow section. If you want to enter a scarecrow, you can do that as well. So that's really neat, and to enter different things like that. If you want jam, your jams and cakes and cookies, and we even have a salsa contest on Saturday.
Yeah.
And so that's really neat to join in.
Yeah, it's fun to see like the different I guess artisans and their, who's doing what in Navajo County, and what does that jam look like, or what do their quilts look like. There was some beautiful displays there. It
really
was
impressive,
fun.
really impressive.
Very impressive.
One of the most things that I was impressed with was the Navajo County Assessor's Office entry. It was actually a replica of our rodeo arena. I don't know if you got a chance to see it, but it was really neat. They had a lot of horses in it, and they each decorated a horse and put it in there, but the colors matched everything. It was really a neat replica. Even the announcer's booth was pretty much just looked like ours, and they had all our local sponsor signs on it. So I was really impressed. They did an excellent job on that.
Oh, that's
Cammie
pretty
and her
neat.
crew there,
Yeah, that's a great idea.
One other event that we had this year was we had a cherry pie eating contest.
So fun.
Yeah. So the Cherry Bombs are Route 66 ladies group. I think they're out of Winslow. They helped coordinate it with Reggie, our open class supervisor, and they had 20 entries in it. And we gave a $100 prize for the one who could, I guess, eat the whole pie. And so, but it was a really fun event, and it was packed. The stands watching it was really crowded. So that was a fun event. And I think that's going to be a tradition that we carry on at the fair.
I heard some great stuff. So thinking of tradition, what was the theme of this year's county fair?
This year's theme was an American tradition. And I think we went along with that tradition very well. As I said, opening ceremonies was to the first responders, stuff like that. And then our Friday and Saturday night pre-show was geared to honoring our military. So Winslow Fire Department, I don't know if you saw the opening of the flag. The Winslow Fire Department brought their big ladder truck and dropped a big flag from the ladder. And then we had each branch of the military was recognized with a flag run through on horseback. And also our announcer asked if there was, members of the Air Force, members of the Army, and Marines to all stand up. And then at the end he said if there's any Americans in the stand, and everybody just stood up. So that was a neat honor to pay to our country, and so that went along with the theme of keeping the American tradition.
I thought that was a great theme. I think, the county speaks to tradition. If you're going to go and eat your fair food, tradition, or if you're going to go and see the rodeo, or you're going to enter into, I guess, the exhibits and being able to show your craftsmanship, or young people participating in the 4-H activities. There are so many things that have been ingrained in part of the tradition of Navajo County. So we appreciate that. I don't know if you have any other comments or things that you want to share and letting people know about the fair.
I've been a part of the fair since I believe it was about 2005, and I see it grow and get better each year. We had a lot of food vendors, a lot of other vendors that take part of the fair, and it's a lot of work to get those people to come here and make sure that everybody visits their booth, and so they want to come back. I like to go eat. I don't know if you tried it, but there's a gentleman there. Is called Cooking Up the Good Stuff, and he sells fried alligator, frog legs, stuff like that. It's really good. So at the fair you get a chance to see different types of food that you don't normally get to see at different places.
Right.
And so that's kind of neat about the fair, because you could try all kinds of different stuff.
That is
fried
fun.
Stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, and of course the fair's cantina has Jose's famous green chili.
Yeah.
So that's always a hit with the people. But being a part of the fair, I got to go to Greenlee County Fair this year, actually this past weekend. And although they are a lot smaller county than ours, so their fair's a lot smaller, after going to their county fair, and seen what ours is like, I'm really proud what our fair has become, and I'm glad everybody is able to come and participate. After the rodeo, Rusty Despain and I, we stand and greet the people coming out and ask how they like the show. And talking to those people, there were a lot of foreigners there.
Yeah.
I talked to a couple from Germany, from Belarus, and then there were some people from France, and I asked, how do you like our show? And she goes, we love it. This is our 3rd year coming to your rodeo. So they make it an annual trip from France to come to our rodeo. And then there was 3 gentlemen from Portugal that came. They were doing the Route 66 tour from Chicago to LA, and they heard about our fair, so they wanted to make a point to come to our fair and rodeo, and they stayed till midnight watching the bands on the stage and stuff.
Right.
So that's kind of neat that people, not just from our county, but throughout the world, get to come and enjoy our show.
That's very true. I think it just kind of speaks to the quality of, again, the people who organize the events and make it possible. Because I think, all of that investment of time demonstrates an ownership of love. Because there is a lot of work, again, that goes into making sure that the fair is successful. So I thank you and all of the volunteers and those who work on behalf of the communities of Navajo County to make the fair possible. So it's a lot of fun. If you haven't been, you need to go. And I love the funnel cake.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I just want to also say thank you to all our sponsors. We have a lot of businesses throughout Navajo County that help sponsor the fair, and if it wasn't for our sponsors, there's no way we could put on the fair. So I'd just like to say thank you for their continued support as well.
Great. With that, we thank all of those who were able to contribute and making the fair successful. We say have a great fall, a start to the fall, going out to watch the local football games and enjoying the changing of the colors. And we will see you next month. Thank you.